Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We're powered by our good friends over at SR 1029 FM, The Game, and of course, Coastal Sports Digital Network. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. We got about an hour plus to play with. Jonathan Marshall joins me at about 15, and we start things off on this 3rd of February, 2026. As you guys had a wonderful Sports Monday NBA bombshell. You got to be kidding me. NBA bombshell coming down. I mean, just when we thought that we were going to kind of get through and talk a little NFL today, talk about the Super Bowl right around the corner, talking about my Giants bringing in Matt Nagy as a new offensive coordinator, and of course, Kubiak going to the Raiders, which we know is going to be a done deal. The craziness that is the NBA, and they do not disappoint. How about this coming down? How about this? The Grizzlies trade Jaren Jackson to the Jazz in an 8-player deal. You're talking about one of the best defensive players in the league, a 2-time All-Star. Memphis gets a haul back, including 3 first-round picks, according to the mothership and Shams. The Jazz will also get Conter, Landale, Williams Jr. This is a monster trickle-down effect for a team. If you really break it down, Jackson's averaging close to 26 rebounds, a couple blocks, 45 games this season. We know that Memphis has not had the start of the season that I think a lot of people thought they would. 19-29, 10 games under 500. They're 3 back, though, of Portland for the number 10 spot in the Western Conference. And this move, this trade basically tells you what we already know. You're talking about a team that is full out rebuild right now. I mean, that's exactly what it is. This is exactly the move that kind of reeks of a rebuild. I mean, this player's got 3 years remaining on a 5-year deal worth $205 million. That includes a player option for 2029-30. So right now he jumps, by the way, to a rebuilding team in Utah. That's got a couple players and obviously the standout rookie in Ace Bailey. But Memphis is basically telling you right now, hey man, we're rebuilding. They have 13 future first-round picks. Now, Jonathan Marshall covered the Grizz when he was doing television in Memphis. I mean, you got this move that we're going to dissect. You got James Harden on the block. You got Giannis on the block. And you got LeBron James once out of LA, which I told you prior to the season. I even said during the offseason, you just figured this was going to be his last game and last run around with the Lakers, I should say, because they're getting tired of his act. I never liked the hire of Redick. I thought it was going to blow up in their face. And you guys know this as much as I do. What's the NBA? The NBA is a players' league, period. But you look around the Western Conference, and at this moment, when we talk about the Western Conference, you're talking about 3, 4, 5 teams that have already won over 30 games. Now, look, the Eastern Conference, we know they're stacked too, but you got OKC. You got a young Spurs team. You got Denver that won it all a couple seasons ago. You got Houston, all of a sudden on this hot streak, winning 8 out of their last 10. Memphis, the Lakers are hanging around. I mean, this does change. If you are a team like Utah that's rebuilding, you have players now. You've got basically a player to build around. If you're Memphis rebuilding, you've got first-round draft picks. Now, those teams are not making the playoffs. They're bad basketball teams. Utah is one of the worst teams in the league. They can't score, they can't defend, and they're horrible on the road. And they're just as bad within the division and the conference. But this is what happens in the NBA. Teams realize we can turn around quickly if we decide to give up very good players and acquire what? Assets, right? And how about this? How about LeBron James wanting out of LA? Or, LaFraud James wanting out of LA, which, again, we just knew. You just knew. And now there's talk, there's a couple teams. Is it going to be a connection, a reunited with what? With who? The Cleveland Cavaliers? I'm hearing Golden State Warriors. Now, you're always going to have to get that third team into the mix. There's a mock trade that has the Lakers sending LeBron to Golden State and then getting the Nets involved, which includes Draymond Green getting moved to the Lakers. Super Bowl week, and the NBA is crazy. The NBA is crazy. And I can tell you this too right now. If you're looking around with some of these teams, and some of these teams are flawed, some of these teams are flawed. And I'm telling you right, the whole Harden situation, a guy that's never won in his life, he's done nothing in his career. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a prolific scorer, yes. But when it comes to winning basketball, everyone knows James Harden's track record. Every stop he's ever gone, he's faded in the fourth quarter. You can't even dispute me on that. You can't even debate me on that. So now you're thinking, what's the landing spot? What am I going to do? Do I want to move him to a contender? This guy's bounced around. He's always in the conversation of getting traded. He's bounced around teams. Now all of a sudden, can I land with my fourth, fifth, sixth team? I mean, think about it. The Rockers, the Nets, the 76ers, the Clippers. It's been crazy. And here's the other thing. If you're the Clippers, you had a horrible start to the season. I mean, they were on this historic trending down to having one of the worst seasons in NBA history. They started the season off 6-21. But here's the thing. They started to win some basketball games. They've kind of dug themselves out of that hole. 23-26. You're sitting at 8th, 9th spot right now in the Western Conference. Now, with all that being said, do I want to trade James Harden? Do I want to trade him? And I know they're trying to find a chip. They're trying to move him again. But, I would have curious to see how it's going to play out. There has to be such a disconnect that is going on with some of these players. It's absolutely crazy what's going on in the NBA right now. It's crazy. And you still have Giannis, you have LeBron, the Knicks. Are they going to shop Cat? Are they going to try to make a move? The 76ers, are they going to try to go all in with Embiid, knowing that Paul George is serving that 25-game suspension? Which, again, is just another, you're talking about a 15, 16-year vet who had no idea what the hell he was putting in his mouth. I'm not buying it at all. I'm not buying it at all. But the 76ers, maybe there's a part of them that believes, hey, you know what? We can compete right now. Now, the loss of Paul George hurts them significantly. They're 7 games over 500, sitting at the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. So it's just been madness going on right now in the NBA. Absolutely madness. And it's so hard. Sometimes you need to line it up and get that third team into the equation, right? Because you're already seeing the Bulls, Timberwolves, Pistons. That was a 3-team swap, right? Ivy, Conley Jr., Chicago, Dario to Detroit. I mean, the Jackson news is just wow. I mean, it's just, he's a great player. You're talking about a star forward, stretches the floor, plays both ends of the floor. Both ends. And that's a haul. That is an absolute haul. And, you never feel good for some of these players that are very good and play really hard. And, you're talking a defensive former player of the year, 4th overall back in 2018, averaging 20-6. And now you turn around, you go to a 15-35 team. That defensively, they're one of the worst in the NBA. I mean, if you're playing the overs every time, the team total, go ahead, they're giving up 127 points. So you got the Harden stuff, you got the Jackson stuff, you got the Giannis stuff, you got LeBron James wanting out. Jonathan Marshall, I said in a couple moments. Yes, we will get into the NFL. Yes, I see Giant fans already. I don't know what to tell you guys. Now, the move for Matt Nagy, right? Smooth operator chimes in to start things off. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, don't go crazy. Like, don't get yourself all bent out of shape because the Giants hired Matt Nagy. I'm going to tell you why. If we're fair, and I understand he didn't call plays with Kansas City, but the 1 year he had his hand in the cookie jar, or the 2 years he had his hand in the cookie jar, Patrick Mahomes had a monster season and Alex Smith had a career year. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Like, I get it. It's not sexy. You guys wanted the Kubiak, you wanted the Kingsbury. I hear you. I'm on board. I see Kevin chiming in, Money Mike chiming in. I get it. I get it. I would not hate to hire though. It's safe. You're getting a guy that's coached before. Now, if you want to sit there and tell me, well, Q, what happened when he was with the Bears? I understand all that. Former quarterback, let him come in and let him work with Jackson Dart. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. New headphones, who this? AKA Heat 12 Man, AKA Heisman, AKA Steeler Nation, AKA Duval, known as Vince. Trade deadline craziness is awesome. Honestly, every time I check my phone, there's a new update. Trade rumors. Love this mess. It's beyond crazy. It's beyond crazy. Imagine if LeBron gets moved, Harden gets moved, Giannis gets moved. I can't recall an NBA. Now, obviously, I mean, look, we know what transpired last year, right? I mean, we know it was one of the most bizarre, crazy, you got to be kidding me. How the hell did this just happen? Trades in NBA history when Luka goes from Dallas to the Lakers. I mean, you can sit there and say it was one of the all-time blockbuster moves, blockbuster trades the NBA has ever seen. You're talking about the face of the franchise with the Dallas Mavericks, 7, 8 seasons, already trending towards that Hall of Fame career, an unbelievable player, just a magician with the basketball, right? A fan favorite in a market that the fans were about to turn on the ownership group and how they were handling themselves. You get to the finals a couple years ago, and then what happens? You turn around and you move them. I mean, it's crazy. Turn around, let's move them. And that happened, by the way, a year ago today, February 2nd. Well, today's the 3rd, but you know what I'm saying. It was a blockbuster. It was without a doubt a move that you thought would shift the scales in the Western Conference, especially for the Lakers, weaken the Dallas Mavericks, and obviously draw a dose of heavy criticism from the Mavericks fan base for moving a franchise player. And then you get the GM that basically said, I believe in defense winning championships. Right? So, yeah, that was bizarre and that was crazy. 100%. 100%. If I'm a contender, I'm not trading for Harden. He ruins championship teams every time he goes there. Listen, I will say this too. James Harden, he's just not a winning player. I mean, that's James Harden. He wants his shots. That's all that is. He wants his shots. And you're right. Everywhere he's gone, it's never worked out. It just, from a winning standpoint, never worked out. OKC didn't work out. Houston didn't work out. The Nets, a disgrace. The Philadelphia 76ers, no. You would think, all right, now here we go. 4th, 5th time's a charm with James Harden. He's a selfish player. He's a me player. He's a Hall of Fame player. I mean, you cannot dispute James Harden's talents. You can't. And once in a while, he'll turn back the clock and he'll give you that moment. Look, his numbers are just ridiculous. His best stretch, I would argue, obviously his time early on with the Rockets. He was unbelievable. But everywhere he's gone, what has this team done? What has the franchise done? And his fourth quarter, his fourth quarter, not even heroics. This guy wilters in the fourth quarter. Go back to so many game sevens over the course of his career. He's not a winning player. He's not. But I thought we were going to come on today and talk, all right, Super Bowl, no buzz, here we go. And I knew something was coming down in the NBA. I mean, we kind of all knew it was going to be a little fishy, right? We kind of had an idea that it might be very, very busy with the trade deadline right around the corner. But I got to be honest, I did not see this coming down the pipe. I didn't. And now that you get the news with LeBron James, who wants out, you get the news potentially of James Harden, who's trying to force his hand and force a trade. You got Giannis, you got Cat, you got the Knicks, you got the Sixers, you got Paul George. You got a lot of stuff going down. And we decided, why not? Let's bring it. Look, he's got the headset on. He's ready to roll. My guy, Jon Marshall, does a wonderful job with the Marshall Time podcast, also covers the NBA and college hoops. Kind enough to join me on a Tuesday edition of On Cue. Finally get to take a break and a breath 18 minutes in. How are you, my friend?
What's up, Q? One thing about the NBA, Super Bowl week, but that league will always supersede anything else in the sports world. The gambling, the
Yeah.
trades, the drama, whatever you want, the NBA is always going to be there for you.
Well, listen, I mean, the product's not the best. We both know that, but we know that there's craziness with some of these moves. All right, the Jackson move, Memphis. You covered the Grizzlies, your time down there.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a move that you're seeing a franchise deciding we're going to rebuild. You take a great player and you stick him on a team that's also going to rebuild. It's an overhaul. Is this a move like this to you? A couple days away from draft deadline, a trade deadline. Did you see a move like this coming? Are you shocked, surprised by it?
I was shocked because all you hear is about Jon Morant and the issues with him in the franchise. Could he be on his way out? Right.
Right.
But in a basketball sense, in totality of what this Grizzlies franchise is at right now, doesn't come as a total shock, right? We've seen so many crazy trades, right? If Luka can get traded in the middle of the night for
Which
Anthony
I just
Davis,
said,
right?
yep.
What's actually going to surprise us, right? It's shocking in the sense that it wasn't on our radar, but when you look at it, okay, I can see it, right? Jaren Jackson, for those who aren't fully aware of his play in Memphis, talented player, good size, can shoot it, highly skilled player, leaves a lot to be desired on the boards. Doesn't get a lot of rebounds. You look at his numbers, expect more from a player like him. He fouls a lot. That's been a thing since his rookie year. I covered this team in Memphis a few years ago, so I've seen his trajectory. I've seen him over the years and how he's developed, and the lack of discipline defensively, the lack of toughness or desire, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it, on the boards.
And yet you're sending him to a team that's given up 127 points.
Well, I don't know what I don't know what Danny Ainge is ever up to, honestly. I mean, Lauri Markkanen is still out there. I don't know if is he a part of the future? Or are you looking to trade him for a haul of picks? Like, I don't know what. I guess they're just trying to collect as many young assets and picks, and maybe two of them will hit, right? They have some young pieces: Ace Bailey, Keontae George, Walker Kessler. But when at some point are you going to develop a winning situation over there in Utah and compete for a playoff spot? And so, but for Memphis, to me, this signals a full rebuild. At this point, you have to trade Morant. You have to fully. You don't
That's what
trade
I
away.
wanted to ask you.
You don't trade Desmond Bane. You don't trade Jaren Jackson Jr. if you're not really fully invested into a full rebuild. You got all these picks. Obviously, you're going to use these in other trades, probably, right? You can't use all these picks. I'm assuming, and so the next 2 years to me is Memphis fully leaning in to a rebuild. This is a great draft class. Let's see what the lottery odds are for you this year and next year and the year after. But to me, that has to be the focus.
Moving Jon Morant. I mean, now it seems like it's the logical move, the logical step, because it is a full blown out teardown, which again, next season they're going to be horrible. So then the questions of tanking, not tanking. Well, look, you're tearing down the roster. We know Morant is a talented player, but let's also be fair. A lot of baggage with this kid, a lot of nonsense. Now, how much of that, the past transgressions, the IG, the gun waving, the issues, the malcontentish, how much of that will play into this if or when they decide to move him?
I mean, it has to play a part, right? But in pro sports, if you're producing, if the team is winning, some things get swept to the side, right? And so if Ja Morant was at a point in his career where he elevated this franchise and his game to a certain level, if they're competing for a championship over the next couple of years, the previous 2 years, I don't think we're having this conversation. That's just the reality of it, right? And even in college sports, right? The more talented you are, the longer leeway you have to have some transgressions, right? And so, but now this is at a point for this franchise. Now, John Morant looking at his game individually, how far has he come? Has he grown? And then on the flip side of it, because of that, where is this franchise as a team? Are they in a better shape than they were years ago when they drafted him? Where are they at now? So you got to weigh that conversation, especially a player his size, his play style. How much longevity is his game going to age well? These are things you got to have foresight as an owner, as a GM, when thinking about these things. And you don't want to have a situation where you're Damon in Portland, you're Bradley Beal in Washington, right? Where you have a talented guard, but there's limitations on him individually. And if he's your top guy, there's a ceiling. There's a low ceiling for your franchise.
Yeah, I think. Listen, it's. We thought last year was crazy. I think Golden State's. I think they're going to try everything in their power to move Green. I think LeBron's out. I think they're going to try to do something with him. James Harden and Vince actually brought up a good point. If the Grizz are going to have a fire sale, the Clippers send Harden to Memphis for Ja. I mean, if you are the Clippers right now and you had that horrible start to the season, but then you've been able to turn it around, and Harden, I get it. He's not 28, he's 36. I feel as though every stop he's gone, he's forced his way out of the building. So if you're the Clippers right now, what do you get in the return? And would you even consider calling up Memphis right now and getting that third team involved to kind of swap these two?
Man, the Clippers are in an interesting spot because coming into the year, we looked at the roster: Kawhi, Harden. Um, you have some young pieces, but from the top down, the window of this team is relatively, it's almost closed. And
Right.
so, for me, they're in a tough spot to where if you're not competing seriously, then I think they're in no man's land, so to speak, right? And so, can you trust even if you get a Ja Morant or a young piece or a Darius Garland, right? Now what? I know you're playing well, but this Clippers agenda when it comes to them playing well and being contenders in the Western Conference, we've seen this story before. How many times do we have to replay? They are the Clippers. We know what's going to happen come playoff time. And so whether James Harden is there or not, I don't see any positive turn when it comes to the Clippers and competing for a championship. Even with Kawhi Leonard, at any given moment, his knees could say, "Not today." like, so
Yeah.
to me, the Clippers are in a tough spot right now, and so the worst spot you can be in as an NBA team is no man's land, right? Where you're
Well, we
sort
call
of
it
in that
NBA purgatory. We
it's
call it
purgatory.
purgatory.
And to me, the Clippers, I know entering the year there was a lot of excitement. I know there's a lot of excitement when it comes to the Clippers and how well they've been playing. But in the reality is, if you're really being honest, they're in no man's land. I don't see the opening. Where's the young prospect, the young star on the rise? Where are these things that we can say, okay, in 5 years, we can see where this Clippers team can be. But right now, tied to Kawhi Leonard, tied to James Harden, they're so tied to the right now and where those guys are in their careers. Yeah, it's not. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. So I don't know. Getting a Darius Garland to me, and we talked about Garland for years in Cleveland. I don't think he is a viable option when it comes to being a backcourt. Um, you know, a truly guy that you can rely on defensively because at 6'2", 6'1", the guards in today's game are 6'5", 6'6". You're
Sure.
getting exploited. You're getting attacked.
Yeah.
He's not reliable physically. He's always out with an injury, it seems, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
is his offensive game that much? Is he worth the downside? That's what you have to ask about Darius Garland, and I don't think he is. And Cleveland is realizing that.
Yeah. Well, I want to kind of keep it in the Eastern Conference for a second. Your 76ers, right? I mean, they started to kind of win back the fan base, playing
Yeah,
some good basketball. And then the news comes down that Paul George gets pinched and he's
Mhm.
suspended for 25 games. And I got to be honest, man. So, you know, and I have to be sensitive the way I say this, even though
Mhm.
I'm typically not sensitive to certain BS. You start talking about, well, I took a pill, took
Mhm.
medicine, mental health is so important. And no one's disputing the importance of having your mind right and mental health.
Yeah.
Again, no one is.
Yeah.
But let's just be fully transparent here.
Yeah.
I think his excuse is absolutely a load of garbage. I think it's weak. I
Mhm.
thought that for a player that's been in the league how many years? 15, 16 years in the NBA,
Long
13,
time.
14, 15 years in the NBA, in every
Yeah.
major sport, the NBA, the NFL, Major League
Mhm.
Baseball, and the NHL.
Mhm.
Okay, two things: you got a friggin' agent, number one, and you also have a hotline where you can pick up the phone or have your agent pick up the phone and say, "My client that I
Mhm.
rep is thinking about popping this pill in his mouth for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Is it legal? Is it okay? Is it on the list? Is it not on the list? Is he going to get pinched? Is he going to get popped? Is he going to get suspended? So, this whole I want to take care of my mental health, I am so tired of people using that as a crutch because they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar compared to people that are really dealing with mental health issues. I think it was selfish by Paul George. I think it's going to sabotage the 76ers season. And it shows once again how much of a joke this franchise is because as soon as they start to right the ship a little bit and you have
Mhm.
something to cheer about, this happens now. And they're probably going to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, when I heard the news, caught off guard, obviously, but the first thought was it's always something. Like there's you can't even be surprised fully when you followed and we followed this team very closely over the years, and we know there's always something, whether it's a peanut allergy, right, with the rookie, right, or Embiid situation. Like there's always
Shirley Temples, burner phones.
Markel Fultz, and he can't shoot all of a sudden, right? Like there's always something that you have to be ready for as a Sixers fan and as somebody who covers the Sixers. Like, yeah, things are going well, but something's knocking on the door. Be prepared for everything to just collapse right in front of you. And this is the latest example. I agree. The mental health thing is sensitive, and I'm very sensitive to that. And
As we all should be. As we all should be.
I'm yeah, I personally I value and I encourage people to take care of their mental health, right? But it's dangerous. It's a dangerous game because it can be used as a cop out when things don't go your way and you get caught up in something, right? Because anything can be a mental health situation, then, right? Um, and so it leaves us to a point to where, okay, well, we really can't say anything because as soon as you use mental health, we can't say anything. We can't attack that.
But
But in
you know what?
reality is,
But let
but
me push back for a
mm,
second, real quick.
yeah.
Let me push back. It's
Mm,
not. No, we are entitled. We can call out the BS, and it
mhm,
might come off as uberly insensitive, right?
mhm,
But it's a crutch. That's all it is in this
mhm,
case. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. It's fishy to me. Just again, if you are so concerned with what you're about to put in your body, you
mhm,
understand what's you have so much accessible to you. Like these leagues, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got assistants to assistants to assistants. You've got health expert. You got doctors. You got trainers. You got your agent. You got hotlines. You got tip lines. You can call. You can call. And like I said, I just think I'm sorry. I am not
mhm.
trying to be insensitive. I'm not. I'm not. I'm really not. But I think it's I got caught, and here's my quick out where everyone will leave me be. And I just think it's weak. I'm sorry. That's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. I hate when it's used as a cop out because people. I mean, people nowadays you can weaponize mental health, right? And that's what that's the conversation that we're talking about, right? Using it to manipulate and control the narrative when something's going wrong, when something's not going your way, and it's I would have to think in a league, especially in today, where I think the sports leagues have done a better job when it comes to addressing mental health and really trying to take care of that. The players are outspoken. I would think the NBA has space for players to use certain drugs for their mental health, right? Things that we all have available to us, right? And so, what are you dealing with? What are you using that is causing you to fail or violate the league's anti-drug policy? And can we even trust that it's even something that was for your mental health, right? That's another thing. There's so much gray area in here that I don't want to speculate too much, but I don't know what to believe because the details aren't even out there. And I would have to believe that the NBA has room for players to use things to better their mental health. So what
So
are you doing? What are you using? I don't know. Was it
so
even for your mental health? These are the questions I have.
yeah, so I reached out to a couple former players that played
Mhm,
in league for about 5, 6, 7 years, and they
mhm,
basically all told me the same thing. You
mhm.
basically have a booklet. The league gives you like a pamphlet, a booklet information on what you can and cannot do. And
Right,
two of them literally said, that's why you have an effing agent,
right.
right?
Yeah,
And the bottom line is this now. He's gone for 25 games, right? So now
yeah,
you look at this, the Philadelphia 76ers from an offensive standpoint, and you're starting to see a little juice, a little life from Embiid,
mhm,
okay, right?
yeah,
And they're kinda, little bit of a run, right? They what
yeah,
they won 4 straight after 2 losses. They put up a buck 28, a buck 24 respectively against the Pelicans and the
yeah.
Clippers. I think more pressure now falls on Maxey.
Of
I think
course.
more pressure is gonna fall a little bit on the backcourt and Edgecombe, and then obviously, look, I mean, we can talk a little bit about, Embiid, who,
Mhm.
seems he's engaged and he's putting up some decent numbers and minutes. Now, how long that
Yeah.
lasts, we never know.
Yeah, anytime you lose a key piece in your rotation, he was a starter in the lineup, so automatically other players have to step up and fill that role. For Embiid and Maxey, those guys have to take on an even bigger load, right? And what PG does on both ends of the floor, defensively picking up guys and also offensively. And so who's taking into that role? And so, yeah, 25 games is a long time, especially when you consider, where they are in the playoff picture and how the Eastern Conference so much can change in those standings. And the last place you want to be is late season stretch and you're trying to fight to make that top six. And you might end up in that play-in territory where anything
Right,
can
and
happen in
you
that
don't have a
range,
better
right?
and you don't have a veteran presence too, right?
Exactly.
Because think about it, now in the 4th quarter, you want a guy like George who can maybe spell and beat offensively if the load if he's logging a lot of minutes. Now, Maxey can still get his, but they still relatively have younger bench role players, and it makes it that much harder. Look, I don't know when it's all said and done where the Sixers are gonna be, but they're sitting at the 6th spot right now,
They're
and
in
as
that
I
they're in
said.
that they're in that danger territory where the plane is right behind you.
Right, right.
Yeah. So in a situation like this, yes, should they be more talented than whoever else they would play in the plane? Yes, but the reality is you don't want to have to play that extra game. You don't want
No,
to take that chance, especially with Embiid and PG's health and their physical history. You don't want to take that chance because all it takes is one fall, and that's a wrap.
sure. Well, and we've seen him with his goofiness at
Yeah,
times anyway, with his falls. Does Giannis get moved?
he should. I'm over the Giannis Milwaukee drama. I really am. And what annoys me the most is, you know, when players act oblivious to the trade rumors or the speculation and the talks. Like you realize what the Bucks are. You got your championship, but that's as good as it will ever get for the Bucks in this Giannis era. That's the reality. So if you
Yeah,
carry on and saying you want to compete for a championship, it's not going to be in Milwaukee. It's just
yeah,
not. And so
yeah.
what are we doing? And for Milwaukee, what are you waiting for? So for me, both sides have to really just come to grips with it, come to reality, and make a deal happen sooner rather than later. Like it's
Yeah,
over.
I
It's
wanna
it's
get
really
to
over.
Vince's point. No Sixers fan is actually relying on Paul George for production, are they? That seems extremely foolish. That's not true. Have you
He's
watched
actually
him?
playing well. He's actually
He's
playing
playing
well.
well, and he opens up the floor. That's the thing, though.
Yeah.
He still has a presence where he can put it on the floor or shoot from the outside. So
It's
there's that
it's
dynamic you're losing.
it's a veteran presence. It's a guy who actually, when he's on, he can actually produce. He's a threat out there, right? You have to account for him. And then if PG's gone, you have to rely on somebody who's not as experienced, right? Who's not as proven over the course of time, right? And so, no, he's not the number one, number two option,
Of course,
but he's an option, and the more options, the better.
and it does give you a little more rhythm or rhyme to the offense and the
Right.
structure depending upon, where the offense is really rolling through, and I tend to agree with you on Giannis in Milwaukee. I'm kind of tired of it as well. Now, look, the Knicks are a pipe dream. It's not happening. They're not moving Cat. I don't see it happening. I don't. And I told you last year they should have traded him because I know what you're getting. Nice kid, nice player, but at the end of the day, when I need 35 and 13, he's not it. Instead, I got to
Yeah,
rely on the backcourt. I got to rely on Brunson, where
yeah.
this guy, Cat is soft. That's my problem. He's soft.
We talked about this even when he was in Minnesota. Not the biggest fan. There's certain players where you're really not a big fan of his game. And Cat is when he went to New York, I said, okay, timer's on. When is the team going to be tired of his whatever he has
How
going
many
on,
times
right?
was I
Because
texting you last
yeah,
year during the playoffs? Like, stop effing shooting it from beyond the
that's
arc. But I understand it's today's NBA, but I'm sorry. That's not you. That's
that's
not
he
you. And the
prides
thing
himself.
is, the Knicks have quietly been a
Yeah,
really good team over the last couple weeks.
yeah, yeah. But with Cat as your, I guess he's the number two option right after Brunson.
I mean,
There,
well, yeah,
there's
it's not OG. It's
there
not, yeah.
as, there's limitations there offensively. I don't think Cat has it in him to be a guy you can rely on. And Brunson, as a smaller guard, you can't have a guy like Cat as number two. You got to have a guy who's more lethal, more reliable, more efficient offensively. It's just not going to work. That's
Well,
the terrible, terrible pairing for Brunson. It's terrible.
it is a terrible pairing, and here's the other thing. It's one of the reasons, and everyone criticizes Brunson, it's one of the reasons he has to shoot 20 plus times a game.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so when you get the 8 and 20, I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Like, it's just, and then what happens is now he's trying to create so much off the dribble. That's when he has some bad turnovers. He had a stretch in early January where he had like a game, 3 turnovers, 4 turnovers, 6 turnovers,
Mhm.
5 turnovers. And his shooting percentage was really
Yeah.
not that good. It's like 46%, 44%. So
Yeah.
it's like smoke and mirrors with these numbers. Look, if they're gonna win, they need another option that's not Cat, and it's not Bridges, and it's not OG, and their bench is and they'll probably get bounced in the second round. I don't think they have the makeup to get to the Eastern Conference Finals again.
Yeah.
I just don't. Now, last year, you and we talked about Cleveland's hot start, and I kept saying to
Mhm.
you, okay, is it sustainable? Is sustainable? Now, we see what's happening with Cleveland this year. I want to flip it. Detroit. That's a young team. They're 36 and 12. Is what
Yeah.
they're doing right now legit?
I think the way that they attack defensively and their mindset, I think that's legit. Now, when it comes to having a deep playoff run, we know experience matters, and we got to see it happen before we can actually fully buy in. There are usually steps that teams have to take. The Celtics, the Thunder, like you have to take those steps to reach that point, right? And so I think they're on the right track to finally having that winning environment and their defensive mentality. But I know that Cade Cunningham is a superstar in this league. Jalen Duren has elevated his game, but we got to see those guys and we got to see the complementary pieces perform in those moments against the Boston Celtics team, even though they don't have a Tatum, but they have guys who have been there, right? Against the Knicks, against the if Embiid is healthy, if Maxey is healthy, and they're clicking, who are you going to pick, Detroit or Philly? It's not a talk. I mean, it's not a guarantee that Detroit can win that series, right? And so, I think they're young, they're exciting, they defend, and so that piece of it will automatically give you a chance. But there's certain things mentally that they have to go through that we have to see them rise above some challenges. And I think I wouldn't pick them to win the Eastern Conference this year. Not yet. I'm not ready.
No, they're sometimes a little bit of
You got to be
it's
proven.
yeah. Hoop Six chimes in. Q11 the NBA talk. Did you see Giannis? I followed the Bucks on Instagram. Yeah, I don't care about any of
It's the
that stuff.
drama. Like just it's the passive aggressive energy from these superstars when you don't want to be the bad guy. We saw it with Dame in Portland. Giannis, just go. Say you want to go. Just go.
So
Go to
if
Minnesota. Go to Minnesota. They just made a deal. Maybe
yeah,
they're trying to make room for him. Who knows? But it has to end.
so if the Warriors are fielding calls about moving Draymond, and now there's a report that Milwaukee might be in play. I mean, you're going to have to get another team involved. I mean, can you imagine Giannis to Golden State?
That gets me excited if I'm a Warriors fan. Like the Jimmy Butler edition was cool, but let's be honest here. That's not going to rise your championship ceiling any higher. I don't think it did at least. So you get a Giannis though, who's a younger player, more dynamic. Now we talk. Now we can lessen the load on Steph, where we don't have to rely on Steph to be superhuman every game because we got Giannis here. And so that's to me, that's the one move that can elevate you if you're the Warriors. If anything other than that, though, what did we enjoy the Steph, the remaining years in Golden State?
Well, do you believe that they are probably thinking to themselves, we got to get all in right now? Like this
They
is,
have to. They
yeah.
have like Steph is closer to 40 than he is 30, right? So like time is of the essence. You have to.
Speaking of time of the essence, LeBron. I mean, I think.
Speaking of
I,
superstars and their passive aggressive
well,
ways.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the air ball, midcourt. I think
Uh,
the the problem with what's going on with the Lakers, I think it runs deeper than LeBron. Like I told you, when they hired JJ Redick, I didn't like the move.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't. And you had a rookie head coach, no prior coaching experience other than a friggin' volunteer head coach. And I think it was
right.
for kids like basketball
Yeah,
academy, right?
yeah.
Um, Look, we know the NBA, it's a player driven league. They don't play any defense in the league. The Lakers don't play any defense. They're one of the worst defending teams out there.
Mhm.
Uh, is this a either LeBron or JJ? And at this point, we're going to get rid of the player.
You got to get rid of the player. You have to. You got your chance. Like once again, just like with the Bucks and Giannis, LeBron era, you got your one. You got your championship.
The
We were
bubble.
gifted. We were gifted. Luka Doncic. We're set. We have our number one. From this point on, LeBron is only bringing in fans, selling tickets, because in reality is what is LeBron producing realistically at this age next year? Realistically, when it comes to being serious contenders, what is he providing you that if you got rid of him, you would miss?
You know
I
where
know
I
it
think
sounds crazy because he's LeBron, but out of really nah, I think you got to get off of it. You have to. You have to. And there was a highlight. I think Jared Vanderbilt got to know his LeBron defensively against the Knicks, right? There was a mistake that he made, or so there's certain
it
things
was
that
horrible, the lack of effort.
yeah. But that's who the Lakers have been even before Luka. They've been front runners. They've been a team that doesn't show effort defensively. They don't get back on defense. They just give up on plays. They give up games, right? And so that's who the Lakers have been since LeBron has been here. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and look, for being 40, 41, and still producing, give
Oh,
him
for
all the
sure.
credit in the world. No,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think he's already been with the Lakers for 7 plus
Mhm.
years, and he averages about 27 and 8, almost a
Yeah.
triple double in his time with the Lakers. But we know he's butted heads with Jeannie Buss. We know that's soured. And I'm telling you, I don't care what anyone tells me. The fact that he planted that seed in Rich Paul's ears to go and
Mhm.
draft Ronnie and then turn around and let everyone else know, if you do it, we're not going to deal with the Lakers going forward. I think that rubbed a lot of people within the organization the
Mhm.
wrong way, right? And I'm not a fan of, well, he's built up equity, he can do whatever the hell he wants. No, because you're wasting a draft pick first and foremost. And I just think it made for a very awkward, it put JJ Redick in a bad spot too as a young head coach, and plus they're
Mhm.
buddies. So I can't critique your kid. I can't criticize him. Should I play him? Should I start him? Should I bench him? I can't critique and criticize you. You're my buddy. We're doing a podcast, this, that, the other thing. And I just think it was a recipe for disaster. Now, with all that being said, is what would be a potential, where would be a potential landing spot for LeBron? Is he going to reconcile and go back to Cleveland after he had the crocodile tears?
I mean, why not? I mean, at this point, I mean, where else? I mean, if LeBron goes anywhere, it has to be a team that has a chance at competing for a championship, right? Probably if you're the Lakers, you want to see get them out the Western Conference, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland honestly is the most logical destination. What you get back in return, who knows what happens with Garland? I know you have a Jared Allen, you have some other pieces. But for me with the Lakers, as you just mentioned with LeBron, is the distraction worth it anymore? It's just always something with Rich Paul and his show, his podcast. Now, there's always something coming out of that camp that we have to deal with, and you're not even the number one guy on our team anymore. It's Luka. This is Luka's team, and people have to realize that, rearrange your thinking when it comes to LeBron and the Lakers. Is he worth the drama and the issues and the distractions? That's my question. I don't think he is at this point. I just don't. I don't.
When he decided to take the talents to South Beach
Yeah.
and join the Heat as a free agent in 2010,
Yeah.
well, the Knicks were trying their damnedest
Yeah.
to make a move for LeBron. Now, I get it. He's 41. He's not the same player he was 16 years ago. I mean, would it be Nick-like if they pulled the trigger for LeBron James?
It's business, though. At the end of the day, MSG's going to be rocking. New York's going to be rocking. Q.
Well,
Why not? Why not go? Why not swing for it's the Eastern Conference? We know when LeBron's in the Eastern Conference, we know he has his way.
Well, more importantly, you're basically ending a potentially 53-year drought. You go to New York and you win a championship, or at least help.
Who else is left on that roster, though? You can't just have LeBron and Jalen Brunson, because LeBron and Luka, I don't think in the Eastern Conference, Luka and LeBron might do damage. I think Luka's a little better than Brunson, though.
Well, the only reason I mention this is because think about it. The Knicks are run by what? The Knicks are run.
Of course.
Team president Leon Rose. You got the former advisor. You got Wild World West, and also you're coached by who? Your former Cavs coach, Mike Brown. So
it all makes sense.
They all know what makes LeBron James friggin' tick. Period. Yeah. So, and think about this. Now, I don't care how the hell I get it done. Just raise a friggin' banner in the garden for me.
You got the banner. You won the play-in.
I don't care about the no. I'm talking about
y'all had the hats. Y'all had the shirts.
Get the hell out of here.
I got that meme. I got the meme ready too, with Cat celebrating with the.
You can use that on the baby's little fanny. No. I'm telling you right now. You get a 5th championship on a 4th different franchise, LeBron. I got no problem then sitting there and saying you're the GOAT. Go ahead and do it.
Problem with that, Q, is you're not beating OKC.
Well, I don't think anyone's beating OKC.
That's so you can get LeBron and whoever's left, LeBron and Landry Shamet.
Stalls a little bit.
Landry Shamet, Deuce McBride. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to get it done. Tyler Kolek. No, not going to cut it.
Well, hold on. Hey, listen, maybe you never know.
It's players. Not going to cut it, though.
What if the Spurs might pick them off in the Western Conference Finals?
I don't think that team's beating the Spurs either. If Wemby is Wemby, that's going to be a tough day for you.
I'll tell you right now, I give the Knicks more of a puncher's chance against the Spurs than I do OKC.
Sure.
I think OKC is a horrible matchup for them.
Sure. No, OKC is a horrible matchup, but the Spurs would be a long series for y'all.
Yeah.
Long series.
Who do you like in the Super Bowl, by the way?
I think the Seahawks are the better team. They should have won.
Yeah,
they should have won.
I know the Eagles aren't playing Sunday, though. We do know that.
It's crazy. Without the Eagles in the bowl or Mahomes, it's no juice, man. We honestly create the energy. We are like Mahomes and the Eagles. We create the energy. So
when you dropped, did you drop any new pods or what?
Not yet. It's coming. I got a new schedule these days. A lot going on, but we're slowly. I'm thinking closer to March Madness.
All right, yeah, we'll dive into a little college hoops too when we mix in a little NBA with you. There's been some good games college basketball wise over the last over the last several weeks. Now, you know me, I'm a Big East guy because St. John's is my squad. They've struggled, man. They've been extremely inconsistent. I think they've gone up now. But, they got absolutely shelled against Alabama. I mean, every time they're playing they lost to Auburn, they lost to Iowa State, they lost to Alabama. I think they're 22nd. They're going to make the tournament.
Their chance was last year to really do something special. Rick's got that program back to a certain level of respectability, but that's UConn's conference. Yeah,
Well,
it's
I mean, UConn's. You can make a case. UConn's the best team in the country.
it's them, Michigan, Arizona. Those are the three teams I'm looking at. A couple of others, but Arizona's really good. Arizona's a really good squad, and Florida's coming into shape too. You got Kansas of Darren Peterson if he's able to play consistently and stay healthy, the possible top pick, AJ DeBanza. So it's a lot of this freshman class too is really exciting. So a lot to look forward to come this tournament. Maybe some of these guys on the Boozer twin at Duke, Koa Pete at Arizona.
Yeah.
A lot of guys to look forward to watch come tournament time. If we haven't, now's the time to really start paying attention to college ball.
I did want to ask you before I let you get out of here. What did you think of some of these former NBA players, these G League players that are challenging the NCAA to return to college basketball?
Disgusting. What are we doing? Because at that point, can Wimby go to UNC and team up with Caleb Wilson? Caleb Wilson could that
Well,
have been an option?
you know what worries me though? So the NCAA, we know they're the biggest hypocrites ever, right?
Yeah.
And it's a walking contradiction.
Mm.
But historically, we're not going to allow players who sign professional contracts, right? Give them eligibility
Right.
because they've restricted players, and there's some cases where they're kind of almost testing those boundaries, right? The NFL has to watch this because the NFL might be thinking in the back of their mind, well, hold on a second, how is this going to affect college eligibility for drafted players returning to school?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's almost like you're opening up this can of worms. But I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a disgrace. Like, I don't get it. Like, are you trying to get back to college for what? To get an NIL deal? Or because
Right.
you don't think you can hack it in the NBA, playing in the G League, or doing these 10-day contracts? Hell, if that's the case, and I can speak to this because I'm privy to it, go play overseas. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, go gravitate overseas. I'll give you a perfect example. The leagues in Thailand, the ones that I'm calling 13-hour difference that I love, by
Mhm.
the way, that I'm calling though, it seems almost every other night, they're year
Yeah.
long. So you get that work visa for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You make some money every month, but once the season
Yeah.
ends, you can go and jump to another league, or you play these 3-on-3. All the money's coming in from China. They're sending teams over to Thailand and the Philippines. These are cash tournaments where
Mhm.
25, 50, $100,000. If that's the case, go do that. But like to
Yeah.
play in the NBA and or G League, and then you want to get back to college, get the hell out of here with that nonsense.
They see the money that these NIL collectives are giving out. They want in Q. They
Well, then
want a
guess
piece
what?
of the pie.
Then you shouldn't have ever decided that you wanted to come out
Yeah.
and have an opportunity to get drafted,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Nah, it's and the funny thing is though, there's such a fuss about these players, and a couple of players that I've seen out there that came back, they're not even they're not making an impact anyway.
They're
So at
not.
the end of the day, it is what it is. You want to go out there, but it's not like you're going to all of a sudden be a top tier candidate to be a first round lottery pick, right?
Yeah,
Most times, because if you were a lottery pick, you wouldn't be in this situation.
correct.
That's the bottom line.
All right, how's the
But yeah,
baby?
uh doing his job, growing, eating, crying, sleeping a little bit here and there, but being a baby for
Hey,
sure.
that's well, just as long as baby's doing well,
Oh
dad's
yeah, for
trying to get
sure.
a little bit of sleep. You're
Oh
helping out,
yeah.
you're chipping in, you're
Oh
doing
yeah.
your part, right?
Doing what we gotta do. Locked in. We doing what we gotta do.
Hey, that's all. All right, brother. Listen, we'll get you back on next week. We'll work out the schedule. We'll talk a little more NBA, and obviously, if some major news breaks, I know I can grab you for a couple moments, and we'll definitely do a little college. But
Oh yeah.
always good to catch up, bro. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, Q.
All right, there you have it, my guy, Jonathan Marshall, dropping the knowledge as if he only can. Got a lot of comments coming in. We'll rip them off. Got some NFL comments too. Giant fan style coordinator. I don't want to hear it on a Tuesday. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. All right, fast approaching 4 o'clock. Welcome back, everyone. A Tuesday edition of On Cue. Rich Quinones here. Appreciate Jon Marshall for a couple moments. Don't forget, we are powered by our good friends over at SR 1029 FM, the game, Coastal Sports Digital Network. If you download the AUDACY app, that's where you can find us. Also, get ready with tea, Played Again Sports, Pliable. We want to welcome in our newest sponsor from Belmar, New Jersey, and of course, Fresh Roasted Coffee. Check out the promo notes. BYP20. That'll get you involved in some savings. And we typically fire off Monday to Friday, 4 to 6, with the NBA kind of taking center stage. We wanted to come on a little early. Let me get back to some of these comments. Yeah, we'll do a little more NFL in the 4 o'clock hour. Money Mike chimes in. For the love of God, why Matt Nagy, bro? Why? It's not, listen, it's not that bad. I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to walk you guys off the ledge a little bit. It's not that bad. They felt, listen, they weren't going to get Kubiak. Tanny, Jim Bob Cooter. I think Matt Nagy is going to be a good fit for Jackson Dart. I really do. He's an experienced play caller. And listen, this is John Harbaugh wanted a guy he can trust. That's all. Now, he doesn't inspire a ton of confidence, right? But again, Todd Monken was the number one choice. Everyone knew that. John Harbaugh wanted to bring in Todd Monken from Baltimore to be the OC. Okay, fine. But guess what happens? The Browns decide we're firing Kevin Stefanski. Monken's got familiarity with the AFC North. Look what he did with Lamar Jackson. Now you pair him up with potentially a young quarterback in Shador. Now we're going to slap him head coach. So, yeah, you're going to take that gig over an offensive coordinator position. We know that. They were interested in Charlie Weiss Jr. as offensive coordinator. That was kind of like the backup plan. And the reason is because you're talking about a former Ole Miss, a current LSU offensive coordinator. He coached Jackson Dart during his time with the Rebels. There was a desire there. But again, it didn't work out. It just did not work out. And that happens sometimes. So you have to take the lesser of two evils, I guess. Now, I think Weiss probably could have taken or could have had the Giants' offensive coordinator job if he wanted it, but he decided I'm going to follow Kiffin to LSU. So you can't blame him for that. And I get it. There are concerns with Matt Nagy. I understand that. But don't jump off the cliff just yet. Because as I told you, he had a very good year or two with Alex Smith, and he had a hell of a run with Patrick Mahomes. The 1 year he did, call the plays. And he also was under who? Andy Reid. So it's not as bad as you guys might think. Am I blown away by it? No. I'm not blown away by it. I told you guys this. It's not, it's a safe hire, if that makes sense. It's a safe hire. It's not anything sexy and or outside the box. Todd Monken was my plan A, my plan B, my plan C, my number one choice. And it didn't pan out. So you just got to see, how it unfolds. Look, ultimately, you've got good talent. You've got a franchise quarterback, and you can build around that. And it's just now we got to figure out how to make it work. You have to get the most out of Jackson Dart. This is very critical right now. This is year number 1 to year number 2. Year number 1 to year number 2. This is a critical moment for Jackson Dart and the Giants going forward. It really is. Because now we want to see the progressions from year 1 to year 2. And you're talking about a guy that's worked with the game's best. So I understand. Everyone's getting all bent out of shape and they think he's a fraud and look what happened. And I'm willing to just say it's not that bad. He worked with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Alex Smith too, right? So, it's just, and I know everyone's going to sit there and now you're going to, you throw in, well, look what Eric Bieniemy did with Patrick Mahomes. I get it. No one's disputing any of that. But I'm going to trust Jon Harbaugh, right? We can be skeptical, but I'm going to trust Jon Harbaugh in this case that he knows what he's doing. That's all. Matty L chimes in. Q, did you see Crafton to get elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I mean, what else is new? So let's kind of walk this back for a second. By the way, Celtics now just made a move a couple minutes ago. This is ridiculous. The Celtics just made a move. The Bulls traded Nikola Vucevic to the Celtics for Simmons, who's not a bad player, Anthony. So you're talking about the NFL, right? And now that Robert Kraft doesn't make the Hall of Fame, didn't make the cut. This is how crazy the NFL is right now when it comes to this. It really is. Belichick didn't make it in his first try. Robert Kraft, which should be a walk-in Hall of Famer. I mean, it's not even up for debate. Not voted in. You see where I'm going with this? It's going to be absolutely nuts and bananas when some of these writers screw Tom Brady his first time around. Then I can tell you right now, all bets are off, and the you-know-what is really going to hit the fan. Like, it does not make any sense. It just doesn't. You got Robert Kraft, who basically has turned that franchise around. Turned that franchise around since owning that franchise. Nothing but consistency, winning, credibility. I know about all the outside stuff. I get it. No Belichick, who was also the architect, right? Arguably the greatest head coach of all time. And all they did is win divisions, playoff games, AFC championships, and friggin' Super Bowls. And you're telling me now, no Robert Kraft, no Bill Belichick. I got news for you. They're going to screw Tom Brady. These are all what some of these voters are doing. It's all spite. That's all it is. It's all spite. It's absolutely on purpose. It's premeditated. That's all it is. It's premeditated. Robert Kraft purchased the Pats back in 1994. Oh, by the way, all they've done is won 225 games. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 374. Including how many Super Bowls? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he basically almost doubled the amount of wins since he purchased the team. He hires Belichick in 2000. Belichick, the hoodie, turns around and let's lead you to 6 Super Bowl wins, 3 other appearances in the Super Bowl, losses, 2 to the Giants, 1 to the Eagles, in an 18-year span. These voters are absolutely a joke. They are. They are a joke. And it's unfortunate. Dart doesn't learn to stop taking it. Dart's going to be fine. It's not going to be short. Book's not out on him. It's just he plays, he runs, he scrambles. So does Josh Allen. So does Williams. Mahomes does it too. So does Burrow. They all run. They get hit. They get hit. They get hit. He's learning, and they will install it. They will, the problem with Jackson Dart running was Brian Daboll, who decided, let me just have these design RPO calls. You're not going to do that. They want to keep him more in the pocket, but you also can't take away what he does best, and that's scrambling and running. And listen, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. You can't tell a player not to run and take off. It's the NFL, man. Some of the hits are unnecessary. Sometimes you got to get out of bounds. And I know that one game where he got drilled, the only reason we brought it up is because he suffered a concussion prior to. It was a bang play. I think Dart will be fine. I do. And I trust Harbaugh. They just need to go out and get some more weapons. They need to bring in another wide receiver. They still have to fix the offensive line. You know, you have to have a little more of a downfield threat. I know Neighbors is coming back. They're going to pay Robinson, hopefully. I have no idea what they're going to do with Slayton. Hyatt's been a bust. You still got, running back by committee. Matt chimes in, Q, it makes absolutely no sense. You sit there and say it's premeditated. I sit there and say it's out of spite and hatred for the Patriots. Probably is. It could be. How do you explain not having these guys in the Hall of Fame and not voting them in? It just makes, it literally makes no sense. Seriously, it just doesn't. It's flawed. It is absolutely flawed. The voting process is flawed. You've got so many writers that they have their own agenda. They want to pick and choose. They push their own narratives. We've seen it across the board. There are guys that are deserving of getting in the Hall of Fame. And then there are certain players in certain sports that are compilers that really, they don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And they're in. And they are in. And it just, for the life of me, I can't figure out. There's such a bias against certain players because maybe they just, for some reason they rub people the wrong way. It just, again, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Q, did you see the theory that maybe Paul George, what? He got theory for what? Sorry, I'm reading a tweet. It doesn't even make sense. I'm not even going to waste my time with that. Oh, here it is. John chimes in. Q, did you see the videos of Paul George doing windmill dunks? Come on, guys. You got to try harder, man. Listen, I'm not. So Baz chimes in. Q, you got to be kidding me. It's an embarrassing thought to come out of your mouth that you're actually getting on a guy for being open about his mental health. That's not. Nope. Listen to me. You're talking about a player that's been in the NBA for 16, 17 years, 15, 16 years, however long it's been. That Paul George has been in the NBA. Paul George has been around the block. Let's not act. You're talking about a 35-year-old. Let's not pretend Paul George doesn't have so many things at his disposal. One of them happens to be like every other player in the NBA and every other player in the NFL and the NHL and Major League Baseball. You've got a number to dial. And you call that number to see if what you're about to take is good and or bad. He chose not to do that route. So now all of a sudden he's crying wolf. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. I think it's sketchy. I do. And it might come off as a prick comment. It might come off as being very insensitive. I can tell you right now, when it comes to mental health and mental illness, I'm sensitive to that. I really am. Aiden chimes in. Q, do you think the Paul George news now with the suspension? Do you think now the Sixers are more prone to try to trade him? I mean, look, I think Paul George was going to be on the block regardless, even though he's played well. I don't know, again, what your thinking is, your line of thinking, like where are you going to, what do you want to do? You want to ship him over to the Clippers, right? And make that fantasy come true that you weren't able to do for how many years now? I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm talking to a 76ers fan that sometimes doesn't really understand reality. They don't. I know exactly what, pardon me, the Sixers fan is thinking right now. Now's our chance to get Kawhi. Okay. That's fine. If that's what you want to think, that's fine. So what are you giving up now? What are you giving up? You're giving up a couple picks, right? You're going to give up a couple players, including Jordan. You're going to get back Kawhi. Who else? You want Chris Dunn? Want me to throw him in the mix? You guys are unbelievable. You're unbelievable. What do we got here? Joe D chimes in. Q, I'm going to side with you. I'm not going to get into the whole mental health issue, but the bottom line is you know exactly what you're putting in your mouth. I agree. I agree. The NBA is funny, man. It really is. It's such a player driven league. And now you get all these barrage of trades coming down. If the Lakers decide to move on from LeBron James, okay, and let's just say he lands back in Cleveland or Miami or he goes to the Knicks. I mean, do you look at LeBron James when it's all said and done? I mean, I don't want to even get in the conversation of when we talk about all-time greats, right? But there is kind of a reason that even a player like LeBron is bouncing around all over the place of late, right? I mean, I get it. You're not going to play with the same team the rest of your career. I totally understand that. And it's far-fetched. It's a pipe dream. It never happens anymore in really any sport. But Cleveland, Miami, back to Cleveland, now the Lakers, now he's going to be on another team. Now, granted, he's been with the Lakers for a while. And I'm not going to sit there and say, does it tarnish the legacy? He's just not the same player he was. And that's okay. He's 41. He's 41 years old. He's not going to play like a 25-year-old. He's not going to play like a 30-year-old. That's just not happening. It's not. Ahmad chimes in. Q, now you look at this trade with Memphis. I mean, it's clear cut. They're going to be tanking, are they not? Yeah. Yeah. And they got rid of a player that is good, but he's not great. I mean, that's just the reality. You got rid of a player in Jackson that's a good player. And like Jonathan Marshall said, not a great player. He's not him. He's not that guy. And, is he a touch overrated? Can you make an argument and say he's overrated? Yeah, I think you can. I'm not going to say guys that disappear in the big spot. I know a couple guys commented, you're talking irrelevant like a Paul George and a Kawhi. James Harden disappears in the big spot. Jackson is still a young player, kind of finding his way in the NBA. Good player, but maybe just not that guy. But a couple years ago, we were talking about Memphis on a team that's on the horizon, right? On the come up. Here we go. KB6 chimes in. Q, always enjoying the NFL and the Giants talk. Confused why everyone hates on MH. It's fair to be skeptical, but you guys wanted Davis Webb. Please calm down. That's a fair point. Yes, that is a fair point because I did mention Davis Webb. So, yeah. What do we got here? Nikki chimes in. Q, did you see the theory that people are saying Kawhi Leonard was snubbed by coaches from the Western Conference due to his scandal? I mean, a little side hustle here and there, a little passive income. Okay. It happens sometimes. You guys are feisty today on a Tuesday. Nobody's trading for Paul George. You know exactly why you're putting in your mouth. It's wild. Pause. Hey, listen, you better know if you're taking medicines, you better know exactly what you're sticking in your mouth. Yes, at all times, 100%. Don't tell me you don't friggin' know, Vince. And I leave it at that. All right, 4:14, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. All right, 416, welcome back. Don't forget, we're powered by our good friends over at Pliable. Played against Sports 2 locations, Defford and Mount Laurel. Shawnee Boy chimes in. Q, how do you think the suspension now will change the Sixers' approach at the trade deadline? Interesting. I think you were looking at a solid sample size. Like if you've watched the NBA and you've watched the Sixers, Paul George is not the player he once was, and no one's claiming that he is. But prior to the suspension, you have to be fair. He was playing well. He started to settle into his role. I watch a lot of NBA, man. I watch a lot of NBA. I watch a lot of basketball. And he's not going to give you 25 and 10, but he'll give you 16 and maybe 7 or 8. He'll give you a couple steals, a couple assists. He's a decent shooter still, especially from beyond the arc. That stretches the floor. It allows you're now drawing out that defense. He's not the same player he once was to put it on the floor, but you got to keep him honest. He's not the max contract player that I think a lot of people thought, but he's given consistency. And again, they're better when he's on the floor. Now, forget about what it's going to cost them. It's like $11 million. And I think the Sixers are going to get like a luxury tax credit worth half of that. But ultimately, you're trying to put out the best product on the floor. And now, do you look at this from financial flexibility? Do you look at this as Paul George being suspended 25 games could potentially be a blessing in disguise, right? Because now if you're looking at this roster, are they built to get out of the second round? I still don't believe they are, but maybe Daryl Morey views this as an opportunity to kind of get better otherwise. Look, you're talking about a GM who's made a trade, or at least one trade in all 5 years he's been in charge of the franchise. So the Sixers are going to do something. And you got Embiid playing with a little bit of juice, playing with a little life. Forget about this notion of trading Embiid. That's not going to happen. So now you got to make up for George, addition by subtraction. And if you look at Embiid and have watched him over the last several weeks, aside from the flipping and the flopping, he's actually playing in the form, and he's giving you shades of what he was a couple of years ago as an MVP. And I didn't see that coming. I thought he's pretty much a broken down player. But he's averaging 27, 8 rebounds. He's showing a little bit of rim protector here and there. He's not the great player we saw defensively in years past, but he's a little more assertive and he's a little more engaged. And that's all you were asking for. That's it. So now you got Maxey, who's pretty much top 10, 15 player. I would say maybe top 10. Definitely top 10 because he was in the conversation for MVP. You got Edgecombe, right? Younger player. You got some role players. You got some depth. And maybe this is one of their deepest teams with Embiid. I still think they're going to be active, but it's just a question of, what are they going to do? Right? What are they going to do? Like, what are the needs? You can always use another shooter. We know that the league is guard heavy, predicated on guard play. Take some pressure off these guys. I mean, they've got a chance to compete. I don't believe they're coming out of the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry. I don't believe they're made up. The makeup of the Sixers, to me, I don't trust Detroit. I don't. But even a banged up Celtics team are showing you they still have that playoff moxie. I trust the Knicks more. I even trust Toronto more. So to kind of answer your question, it's a loaded question. I think they're going to do something. I think they're going to do something. We just don't know what they're going to do. All right, 420, about 10 to play with. Last time out, we'll come back. We'll close it out on the other side. All right, as always, don't forget you can check us out on the YouTube channel, Kicks, Rumble, X. YouTube is really where you find us throughout the week. We've got a new edition of Overseas Dimes dropping. Lloyd, Vance, and I will do an extended BYP. We got some new content coming, so keep the likes, the comments, and the subs. We enjoy the engagement. You guys are fantastic. Means a great deal. Back in the saddle, Manana on a Woosah Wednesday edition of On Cue. We're powered by our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea. Played against sports, pliable. And of course, Coastal Sports Digital Network, coast to coast. Check them out online. Very easy to do. SR1029thegame.com. SR1029thegame.com and or Coastal Sports Digital Network.com. All right. Excellent job, Jonathan Marshall on the NBA. A lot of trades coming down. A wild day in the NBA. We'll kind of put a bow on it and lead into more of the NBA trade deadline, which is a couple days away, but we'll let the smoke settle on this day. We'll recap everything tomorrow. We'll start to look ahead to the Super Bowl, Seattle, and of course the New England Patriots. And it's the game, like I alluded to, doesn't have a ton of buzz. It doesn't have a ton of buzz, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good game. That's all I've been saying for a while now. Like, I hope it's a competitive game. And I know a lot of you guys think it's not going to be a competitive game. Part of me believes that Seattle's going to figure out a way to, pull away in this game. And maybe it's Sam Darnold's time, but we will certainly break down the game a lot more tomorrow. Let me squeeze in one or two more comments. Mel chimes in. I'm a die-hard LA fan across the board. The Rams, the Dodgers, and the Lakers. If it's true LeBron James wants out of LA, is this going to tarnish his legacy? I don't think so. Mel went on. Do we still believe that Harden asked out? I mean, look, I can only go by what's reported, but that might not necessarily be the case, right? I think Harden's got a little juice. It's just, unfortunately, everywhere he goes, it just never seems to work out. That's all I'm saying. He puts up great numbers, but they're hollow numbers. They're shallow numbers. And you saw the Clippers struggled against the Sixers on Monday night, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, now James Harden wants to go somewhere else. He wants to be in control of that trade narrative. Now, do we know if he really asked out? I don't know. I don't. Simmons had an interesting take. He said, are we sure he asked out, or did LA actually agree to Garland Harden trade, then asked a surprise Harden to waive his 15% trade kicker to make it work? And then, again, Cav said no, so Harden said, I'm out. It's actually a pretty interesting point, and it's worth asking the question considering the timing of Harden's trade request, right? Clippers were one of the most disappointing teams to start the season. And like I said, they looked like they were going to implode, but they turned it around. And James Harden's name always pops up in trade rumors. So it's an interesting point that Simmons brings up. It is. It really is. All right. As I mentioned, back in the saddle on a Wednesday. Don't forget, I got some late comments coming in. I want to try to get to them because, I always appreciate when you guys chime in. B chimes in Q. Sorry to switch gears on you and quote, read the room, but do you think the Jets are really going to make a move for a quarterback in the offseason, go with a bridge? And what do you think about Kyler Murray? I mentioned Kyler Murray several times. Several times. 100%. 100%. They need a bridge. That's the direction they're going to go. It just, it's jet-like. It's jet-like. They're not running it back with the quarterbacks they have. You and I both know that. We'll talk a lot more NFL tomorrow, I promise you. We'll start to look ahead to the game. It's a Woosah Wednesday. Keep us locked in. As always, we're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea, pliable, playedagainsports.com, 2 locations. But yeah, the NFL, it's midweek, it's Wednesday tomorrow. So obviously, yes, we will definitely start to get into the Super Bowl. We'll start to preview the game. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll do the player props probably on Thursday or Friday. Check out the YouTube channel for notifications as always. To see when we're going to fire off tomorrow. We wanted to come on a little earlier today because of everything that transpired with the NBA and the trade, the big news of the day. And again, LeBron wanting out of LA, Harden on the move, and the Grizzlies trading Jackson to the Jazz. Speaking of which, if you are interested, keep a watchful eye, right? Because you've got the Lakers in action tonight against the Nets. Celtics are taking on the Mavericks. 76ers on the road against Golden State. So we'll start to give you some picks and plays with the NBA later on in the week. We might do that after the Super Bowl, but we'll kind of tease you into that. Don't forget, we're also on Millions, Kicks, and Rumble. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep supporting the page. Keep supporting my channel. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. You guys have a good Sports Tuesday. Back in the saddle on a Woosah Wednesday edition of On Cue. If you missed any of the show or our segment interview with Jonathan Marshall, Marshall Time Podcast covers the NBA. That's in the first 15 minutes. Show will be right up like that on demand. Don't forget the AUDACY app. Download the AUDACY app and search Coastal Sports Digital Network, Sports Radio 1029 FM The Game. We will do it again mañana. Do not forget, check out the YouTube channel for show notes and information when we fire off live. Get in early with the comments. And you guys have been great for the past hour and a half on a very busy Tuesday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. We will talk to you mañana. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.